Well, I'm looking forward to getting into your story. Thank you so much for taking a minute out today.
Likewise.
So, before we get into stage magic, I want to begin our journey with 5 years ago, this pandemic was doing all kinds of things to all of us, especially musicians. Itineraries were melting away, things were changing. How did you survive the pandemic of 2020, and how has it reverberated into your world in 2025?
Wow, that's a loaded question. Let's see. So the whole pandemic was kind of a blur for me because I was also going through a bunch of personal upheaval. Went
Yeah.
through a painful divorce, and just the whole COVID era. I had a moment where uh, I had people in my band that were on different sides of the vaccine spectrum, and so band members like having conflicts and not even wanting to be in the same room with each other and stuff like that. So and a lot of live gigs went away. I work a day job. I've never actually figured out how to make a living as a full-time musician. So I've always subsidized my music career with a non-music source of income, mainly in the technology field.
Uh-huh.
Um, so I'm a patron of my own art. Uh, so I was trying to navigate, how do I keep that day job going with suddenly everyone having to be stuck working from home. Fortunately, I had a job where I could continue to work remotely,
Yeah.
but it certainly made things more challenging, especially like trying to work with new people because you never had that face-to-face in real life communication.
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually stopped playing gigs with my own band and didn't do any jazz for 5 years. I did some R&B, soul, funk cover band gigs, subbing in for another musician uh, who had to stop performing live because he had a family member who was at risk for COVID. So he chose to just stop performing completely. So yeah, I pivoted and did something completely different musically. Um, but in the last year or so, I really missed doing the jazz thing and my own compositions, leading my own band. So I put my own band back together and started booking shows last fall, and that's how Stage Magic came about. Was reuniting my group and getting that going again. But yeah, it was an interesting time. A lot of musicians struggled. My sax player actually, John Nastis, he was a full-time musician before the pandemic. During the pandemic, really hard to uh, make a living as a saxophone player, wind instrument. Can't really wear a mask while you're and lots of air coming through your instrument and uh, so he ended up, he's also very gifted technically. He did some work on the side doing software engineering, writing some music apps. Uh, and he ended up taking a full-time day job as a software engineer. So he had to let go all of his saxophone students. He was a faculty member at Portland State University, let go of all of his students, and is just doing full-time technology work now, but still has time for music on evenings and weekends
Yeah.
when he's in town. He has to spend 3 days a week in San Francisco Bay Area
Yeah.
for his job. But when he's back in Portland, uh, he's trying to make the most of his time, just what time he has left
Yeah.
to spend doing jazz gigs. So yeah, it's
Wow.
interesting times for all of us during the pandemic.
Well, stage magic had to feel great to reunite, get back at it, and have this out. How does it feel on a visceral level?
Wonderful. I was, you know, in some ways I had to relearn, you know, hadn't touched my music in 5 years and had to relearn how to play it. Um, so that was a little bit worrisome. Is my brain gonna kick back into gear and my fingers remember how to do things? But a few months of intense practice and things came back really quickly. And in many ways, the music sounds much more uh, relaxed and it's changed my playing uh, for the better, I think. I may not have the same technical facility that I did before. There's certain things that, I'm still relearning how to do. But in many other ways, it's much more musical because we've all matured as musicians, um, and just the joy of coming back together and playing this music. My music is all about joy.
Yeah.
And so, that was another thing during the pandemic and personal struggles, it didn't feel authentic to express joy through music when I wasn't feeling it, right?
Yeah.
But now it's like, hey, we're back and we're really enjoying playing together and bringing this music back to life. Um, and so, yeah, the recording just turned out amazing. Sounds almost like a studio record, even though it was live in front of an audience. You know, no overdubs, no. It's all first take kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Very in the moment. Um, my role model throughout my musical life since childhood is was Chick Corea,
Yeah.
and he he was very interested in just in the moment expression, first takes, keeping it fresh, not over rehearsing. And so it really captured that spirit of creativity, listening, rapport with each other, and just celebrating uh, life and this music.
So let me ask you this. Take me back to the beginnings. I know you said you moved around a lot. You've been around a lot of places in the world. Where did all of this music begin for you, and how did it evolve into jazz and all of these different genres?
Okay. Yeah. My childhood, I spent growing up in East Africa, Uganda and Kenya, uh, and the Philippines, Southeast Asia. Um, I finished high school in Denver, Colorado. I discovered jazz and rock and roll on the radio in middle school in the Philippines. Um, and I heard the very first album I bought, the first two albums, was Dave Grusin, Out of the Shadows, with Steve Gadd on drums, um, and Chuck Mangione live at the Hollywood Bowl. Um, and so those two guys, you know, turned on the engine in my brain and got me really curious about, how do you write this stuff? How do you improvise? And I couldn't find anybody to teach me. My dad tried to teach me piano lessons in elementary school, and I hated it and quit. My sight reading is atrocious. I've only had, a few months here and there of piano lessons throughout my life. So it's all self-taught, uh, asking lots of questions from anybody I could find who knew something about the music. Uh, and as I got older, finally, like during college, I audited. I tried to be a music major initially in college, but had a hand injury my freshman year, and so I thought, oh, music career's over, uh, and pivoted uh, to a non-music career. Um, but I still had that desire to make music. So, I had a jazz ensemble director in college who gave me some tips and tricks, pointed me to some books to read through. I've had other musicians throughout life uh, point me to good resources. So a lot of self-study, um, but mostly just like imitating my heroes and trying to capture um, the concepts and feels and approaches to music that they were doing, and attempt to uh, uh, do the same thing in my own way, learning as I go. So that's really been my musical story. You know, I've done a lot of like wedding bands and cover bands and things like that, but it wasn't until uh, when was it? 2008 uh, that my own writing really took off and I formed my band. And that kind of came out of uh, a health struggle I had. I became a cancer patient in 2008, and I'd been putting off my dreams of being a jazz musician uh, until retirement. And suddenly at that diagnosis, you know, I was 38 at the time, and I thought, you know, what if I don't make it to retirement? You know, I got to make my dreams happen now. And
Yeah.
so that just lit a fire under me. And I just started networking with people. I've met all my band members. I met originally through Facebook, and then in real life in some jam sessions. But yeah, initial contacts were all through social media. Uh, and you know, met most of my musical heroes through social media
Yeah.
initially, and that led to actually some double bills and collaborations and chances to play together and learn from them in real life. People like George Whitty from the Brecker Brothers uh, got to play a double bill with him and play a two piano tribute to Chick Corea with him, which was a blast. He's been a great mentor, encouraging me. And then actually met and spent a week with Chick Corea, John Patitucci, and Antonio Sanchez back in 2012. He had a very rare, first time ever in-person workshop, 5-day masterclass. And I was one of 23 students that got to attend that,
Wow.
and even had a chance to play one of my pieces with them, which was a thrill of a lifetime.
Yeah.
Um, Never imagined that that would happen. So just, you know, working hard, trying to figure out, you know, how do I make this dream a reality, and how do I improve? How do I, you know, learning as I go? Because,
Yeah.
you know, before 2008, I wasn't a band leader. I was a sideman. And so it's been a huge learning experience, you know, putting a band together, trying to figure out how to do recordings, put out albums, book shows. I'm still not on a record label. I don't have anybody helping me, no agent, no manager, no nothing. So it's all on my own when I'm not busy with my demanding day job, which takes up a lot of my time too. So yeah, it's been an interesting path.
Yeah, it is. It's wonderful. So I got a quick Chick Corea story. When I started getting
Okay.
into jazz in the late 90s, this must have been around 98. He sat in with the Kansas City Jazz Symphony or the Kansas City Symphony.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't really know a lot about him, but
Okay.
he just kept going on and he wouldn't stop and the conductor kept trying to stop him and he just wouldn't do it. It was awesome. And the crowd kind of was like, uh-oh, when it started. And then they started getting louder and he kept waving and kept doing his thing. And the conductor just was like, I give up. I mean, not in a bad way, but he just
Uh-huh.
had his own agenda and it was awesome.
Yeah.
I had no idea what I was witnessing and a true jazz legend. So with that in mind, I got this
Yeah.
question for you. What's the first live jazz show you saw that blew you away, that made you think I want to do that?
Oh, wow. So trying to think, like, I don't think I ever actually went to see live jazz in person until uh Maybe when I was in college or after college. Uh, yeah, I mean, I think I had a chance to see some live jazz by professional jazz musicians sometime during college. But the first show that really blew me away was uh, probably the Brecker Brothers. Um, got to see them and the Chick Corea Electric Band.
Yeah.
Uh, so those two groups just uh, uh, you know probably some I saw some other stuff. I got a chance to see Miles Davis the year before he died, things like
Wow.
that. Uh, but yeah, those you know seeing seeing the greats is what really inspired me to really push forward and keep going. Before that, it was all just like hearing records. Uh, this was like most of it pre-internet, so didn't really have much access to video.
Yeah.
So it was all just kind of an audio kind of experience for me, and looking at album covers and
Yeah.
reading liner notes and trying to do as much research as I could. But yeah, it probably wasn't until uh, yeah, late college and right after college that I finally saw some really great live performances in
Yeah.
person.
Which you did
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, I feel kind of a kinship to your journey. By day, I'm an IT technician for a school district, and I
Okay.
started this jazz show in 2011. I always wanted to get into broadcasting. So
Okay.
I
Great.
love it's the side hustle. I love the dream is always what fuels you. So my
Yeah.
question to you is this: what do you like the best about being a professional musician? What gets you up every day?
What I like best is just uh, it's don't get me wrong, I'm really appreciative of my day job, and I've got great coworkers, work for a great company, but that's not my passion. So the chance to play music, it's one thing to play music in the comfort of your own home by yourself, but to get the chance to perform with some of my favorite musicians in town, and sometimes the chance to perform with some of my favorite musicians on the planet, uh, is is really what uh, uh, lights me up, and so it's a chance to do something that's completely different from my normal life as an IT guy and a regular member of the community. And suddenly I have a chance to be an artist and to hear your own compositions being performed with such skill and it becomes something greater than you could have even ever imagined or accomplished just on your own. And so just the chance to uh, make this music with others and have that shared experience uh, and to share it with an audience. It's one thing to, you could have a garage band and just be rehearsing for yourselves or in a studio recording things, but to do it in front of a live audience and have them participate in the experience just makes it come even more alive.
Yeah.
Um, it's not part of me's thought, is this just is this just showing off? No, it's sharing something that we care about with others. It's like we enjoy this music so much, and if we can find other people who enjoy it too, all the better. It's like uh, a chance for people to come together and forget about the other things in their lives for a moment and just like lose themselves, escape from reality into this uh, magical thing. Music is really interesting because like it only exists for a moment in time and
Yeah.
then it's gone,
Yep.
right? Um, so to get a chance, especially with jazz, to create something that's never been played before, improvise, and have it, you know, work so well, create this magical moment. It's an awesome experience. Um,
So why do you love jazz?
um, I love jazz because, uh, well, for one thing, I can't sing, so it's a great way for me to express myself on an instrument. Um, Nobody wants to hear me sing, trust me. Um, but I think just with my personality, I like jazz because it's, as a composer, improvising is really just composing in real time, right? Uh, so there's a very close relationship between composing and improvising. Um, and with jazz, it's a true like ability. Jazz is like a another language, and so you have a vocabulary that you've developed and different dialogues and different accents and ways to express ideas. And so you're able to actually interact and communicate with other musicians uh, in a way that uh, you don't really do with other types of music. Other types of music, yeah, there may be some improvisation in other types of music, but jazz is truly uh, unique in that everybody is improvising their own parts collectively and figuring out how to make something new every time.
Yeah.
And so it's just that variety and surprise uh, that is really fascinating to me with jazz. I like a lot of other styles of music. In my opinion, good music is good music, no matter
Yep.
what the genre. Uh, but there's something about uh, jazz that is very unique in that regard, in that you're always it's always new, it's always fresh. Your goal is to like not play the same thing twice.
Yep.
You're constantly searching for new ideas and uh, a better way to express something or a different way. And
Yeah. I dig it.
yeah,
So at
it's
the end of the day,
exciting.
yeah, no, I totally get it. So at the end of the day, Mike, everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, fans, co-workers, everyone that knows you, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Oh, wow. Uh, well, I I am coming into the perception of myself as an artist. Um, and that's been kind of a new realization over the last several years. Whereas, before, for most of my life, I've struggled with self-image and comparing myself to others and always wanting to be someone else. I wanted to be Chick Corea when I grew up. I wanted to be Dave Rusin. I wanted to be, um, if I see somebody who's good at something, it's like I want to be that person. Um, and it's as I've grown older and wiser. I mean, I'm also a wise guy. I tell a lot of dad jokes. Uh, but as I've grown older and wiser, it's like I've come to realize that I need to embrace who I am. And who I am is somebody who is just trying to create beautiful art and make life better for other people on the planet. To leave a legacy and leave the planet better than when I got here. Uh, so that's how I see myself these days.
So if anybody wants to pick up a copy of Stage Magic, catch you live, any of the other music you've worked on, The Good Business, where do they go?
It's on all the usual platforms, Bandcamp, iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon. Uh, I no longer have a way to distribute physical CDs. Uh, my first album, my studio album, Stitch in Time, was released through CD Baby, but ironically, they no longer distribute CDs, even though that's in their name. They only do digital online distribution. Uh, so at this point, if you want a CD, you need to email me or contact me on social media or catch me at a live show, and I can connect you with a physical copy of a CD. But yeah, if you want, you can burn your own CDs if you get the album on Bandcamp, because they'll have lossless WAV and FLAC format available there, not just MP3s. But yeah, got one studio album and 4 live albums now, with Stage Magic being the most recent one.
Okay. Excellent, Mike. This has been wonderful. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your story. Best of luck with the release and everything else. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Joe. It's been a pleasure.
Jazz fans, Joe Domino here, the host of the weekly Neon Jazz radio show and regular interview series being produced and distributed from Lee Summit, Missouri. We are very excited to let you know about the second annual Lee Summit Jazz Festival taking place again this summer on June 28th at the Bridge Space, located at 210 Southwest Market Street in downtown Lee Summit. Following the success of the 2024 festival, the lineup will include Lee Summit students, KC Area Youth Jazz, Paganova with Michael Pagan, Horoscope with Stan Kessler, Brad Gregory, Adam Larson, and the Lee Summit Jazz Orchestra. There will also be food trucks and vendors to round out a day of celebration. Early bird tickets are 2 for $30, and all details can be found at lsjazzfest.com. We can't wait to see you there.